for Chengetai Mukosera. We are going to be doing the bird's honor today. So we are going to get into our honor. Growing up, I loved outdoors so much. And you know, from my experience from growing up, I fell into love with birds. So I decided that we may learn a little bit more about birds. If we get into our honors list, there are certain requirements that we need to cover for us to get the bird's honor. And on the requirements, the first thing that we need to learn about is we need to give two characteristics which sets birds apart from all other creatures. You know, birds, they lay hard-shelled eggs, which they incubate using their body temperature. That sets birds apart from other creatures. And also, did you know that the birds have got a ring bone in the eyes, and it allows them to focus and they have such a keen eyesight. That's another key characteristic that sets birds apart. And also, birds have got hollow bones which allow them to fly almost effortlessly in the sky. And birds are also covered with fur that differs greatly from scales and fur. So you'd find from those four characteristics, they set birds apart from all other creatures. And then we need to know also about birds that cannot fly, and where they are from and what their diet is. The three birds that we need to know about today that are not able to fly, we are going to learn about the Kiwi, the Dodo, and the Ostrich. Firstly, the Kiwi. The Kiwi is a bird that are found in New Zealand. And these birds, they are omnivores, meaning they eat meat and they also eat plants. And they mainly feed on small invertebrates, that's your seeds, your grubs, and many varieties of worms. Although the worms will form a major part of their diet, they will also readily eat some millipedes, some centipedes, some slugs. They also eat some fruits and some small crayfish, eels, and small amphibians. They are long beak, and as you know, kiwis have got a long beak. They are long beak with their nostrils at the end. It helps them be able to scrouge for food, and they even use their long beak to dig into the ground, even a depth of 12 centimeters, for them to be able to find some food. And then we're also going to learn about the dodo as one of the birds that do not fly. As you know, the dodos, they are birds which are extinct. They're no longer found on the face of the earth. And these birds, they were native to the island of Mauritius, which is east of Madagascar, and the Indian Ocean. So that's it on the birds which cannot fly. And then we go on to the next section, which is, do you know the day in which birds were created? Okay, I'm going to tell you. The birds were created on the fifth day. That is in Genesis chapter 1, verse 20 to 23. And when the birds were created on the fifth day, there are a number of birds that were created. And in the Bible, there's listed a number of birds that were created by God. In this section, we only need to know about 5 birds from memory that were created by God that we find in the Bible. I'm going to give you a few examples. One, if you read in the book of Isaiah chapter 34, verse 11, it gives you about the cormorant, the raven, and the owl. Luke chapter 13, verse 34, it gives you about the chicken. Jeremiah chapter 49, it gives you the eagle. Micah chapter 1, verse 8, the ostrich. Genesis chapter 8, verse 8, talks about the dove. So these are some of the birds that were created by God. And these birds, we need to know birds in the Bible and be able to identify them outside. The next requirement that we have to do, boys and girls, is we need to make a list of 30 species of wild birds. Not birds at home, but wild birds. And these birds, we need to be able to identify them by sight. When we see them, we're supposed to be able to tell which bird is this one. So today we are going to learn about 30 birds that I have been able to identify from outside. I told you I liked growing up in the bush and enjoying the birds. So the first bird that we're going to learn about today is the fork-tailed drongo. Fork-tailed drongo. The fork-tailed drongo, the Shona word is nengure. This is a black bird. This is a black bird characterized with a narrow fork-shaped tailed end, brownish eyes, black color throughout its body, and this bird is an omnivore species. Its diet consists of insects, and grasshopper and beetles and other plants. And this bird is sometimes very naughty. It is known for its ability to deceptively mimic other birds' alarm calls in order for certain animals to flee the scene so that it can steal their food. If you have ever heard the story of the owl lying to other birds, that it has got horns, and then there's this bird that came and plucked off the feathers from the ears of the owl to tell that it was not horns. It said the drongo is the bird which did that. It's an interesting bird. The next bird we are going to learn about today is the common quail in Shona Chihuta. You know, we had a Chihuta craze in this country, but this bird is a wild bird. It's a small ground nesting game bird in the pheasant family. It is mainly migratory. When we say migratory, it means this bird moves from one area to the other. It depends on the condition. So it's usually winters in Africa and South India. This species of quail is more often than seen. It is a very elusive bird. It's not seen commonly. Its characteristic call of 3 repeated chirps, repeated 3 times in quick succession, that's the sound that it makes. And then from the quail, there's one interesting bird. You know, this bird, it's a menace to farmers. It's called the swine-song spare fowl, or in Shona it's called Horwe or Chikware. You know, those who farm, they know it when their males is sprouting, it goes line by line, or hole by hole, taking out the maize seed outside. This is the swine-song spare fowl. This one, it occurs in the grasslands, open savannas, and adapts easily to cultivated and disturbed areas. It is distinguished from other fowls by the combination of the red face, red throat, black upper bill, and black legs. You always hear its sound when it goes like, that's the sound that it makes. And then we also have, the next bird we are going to have here is the rock dove. Most people will see it at home. It's called hangaiwa, but its correct name is rock dove. This is a member of the Columbidae family, doves and pigeons. You know, doves and pigeons, they've got a group of, they've got a special name that they are in within their group. In common usage, this bird is referred to as the pigeon, and is the domestic pigeon descended from this species. And usually you find the common one is the one which has got a green neck, a purple color on the chest, and then a gray body. And then on the back, there is a black line behind the wings, and then black feathers at the tail end. And it has got like pink, the feet are pink with some brown eyes, and it has got like a white line on its where the beak ends. So that's the rock dove. And you know, there's so many types of doves. Today, I'm sure we're going to learn about 5 types of doves. So the next dove we're going to learn about again today is the red-eyed dove. In Shona, it's called Vukutiwa. The red-eyed dove is the largish and stockish dove. Typically, the distance from the head to the tail of the red-eyed dove is 30 centimeters in length. And its back wings and tail are pale brown. When flying, it shows a blackish flight feathers. The head and the underparts are dark with vinous pink shading of pale gray on the face. There's a black hind neck patch edged with white. You'd find it has got a black patch behind its neck. And the red-eyed dove eats grass, seeds, grains, and other vegetation. They often forage on the ground. The next dove we are going to have today is called the Kempteto Dove. In Shona we call it Njivaritono. It's one of those birds that we used to tell when it's very far away from its distinct sound. When it goes like, that's the sound that the Kempteto Dove makes. This bird, it has got body feathers that are darkest on the upper side. When they are colored in a dull tones of gray and brown with the shades of lavender on the naps. It has got also a black collar behind its neck. The lower belly, which is the undertail, and the surrounding cloaca is white. As with the related species, this bird has got white fringes and conspicuous white tips to the otherwise slate gray on its feathers. The tail pattern is particularly noticeable during the display in flight. Usually this is one of the smallest doves in the doves and pigeons family, which measures about 25 to 26 centimeters in length, and the eyes are almost black, and the bill is black, and the feet are dark purple. That's the Kempteto Dove. And then we go to the next one, which is the common dove that we see almost everywhere, which is called the laughing dove. You know, it makes a funny laughing sound, which goes like do 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 do. That's why it's called the laughing dove. The laughing dove is a long-tailed, slim pigeon, typically about starts from about 25 centimeters in length, and it is pinkish brown on the underside with a lilac-tinged head on the neck, and a rufous black checkered necklace gives it a distinctive pattern and is also casually distinct from other doves because of that rufous pattern on the neck. The head and the underparts are pinkish, shading to a buff on the lower abdomen. A checkered rufous on grey patch is found on either sides of the neck in adults and is made up of split feathers. The upper parts are brownish with a bluish grey band on the wing. So you find it has got a bluish grey band on the wing. On top, the color is a bit brown. That's the laughing dove. Then from the laughing dove, for this beautiful dove, which is called the emerald spotted wood dove. The emerald spotted wood dove is one of those also small doves, typically about 20 centimeters in length. Its back its back, hind, neck, wings, and tail are pale grey, brown, and the folded wings have green metallic patches that are blackish bands on the lower back and tail. The forehead, crown, neck, are bluish grey, fading to pinkish grey on the throat. The underparts are more of a pink, becoming whiter on the belly. And the bill of this dove is blackish with a red base. And they make a call in three parts: two soft, long coos, followed by a series of slow descending coos. And this dove is a bit elusive. You don't find it, more like its sister dove that you find in the green thickets, which is called the African green pigeon, which is the next dove we're going to discuss about. In Shona called Wiriti. The African pigeon, this is another elusive dove, not commonly found anywhere. Usually found in areas where there are thickets. Growing up, we knew that this bird would find it in the waterberry thickets where there were large concentration of trees, and you know it loves wild fruits, this type of dove. You would find it in the fig tree, you would find it in the waterberry tree, and this African green pigeon, it has maroon patches on top of their wings, and the juveniles have an olive color. The upper parts are grayish green to yellowish green. The thighs are yellow, and the feet in the bill are red, and the bill having a white tip. If you look at its bill, it has got a white tip. It's a colorful dove, a very beautiful dove. This bird loves to dwell in tree thickets. They frequent tree canopies where their parrot-like climbing ability enable them to reach the fruit, especially wild fig, but rarely also forage on the ground. Their call is a series of flowing whistles rendered as a pew, pew. That's the sound of them, of the African green pigeon. The next bird we're going to learn about is the helmeted Guinea fowl. We have seen this bird many places, and this bird is so noisy. The helmeted Guinea fowl is best known as the Guinea fowl bird, and it is part of the Numidae family, and is the only member of the genus Numida. It is native to Africa and has been widely introduced as a domesticated species. The helmeted Guinea fowl is large, 53 to 58 centimeters bird, with a round body and a small head. Their body color is gray-black, speckled with white. Like any other Guinea fowl, this species is an unfeathered head, which in this species is decorated with a dull yellow color and reddish bony knob, and bare skin with red, blue, black hues. The wings are short and rounded, and the tails are likewise short. The next bird we are going to learn about is called the nightjar. Have you ever heard about the nightjar? This bird, it's only active during the night. During the day, it will be sleeping. So we're going to learn about the freckled nightjar. In Shona, they call it dawa. The freckled nightjar. This is a large, powerfully built species of the nightjar family, with long wings and relatively short tails. They lack any prominent marking and appear dark gray and nearly black from a distance. Their color, especially when it is on bent ground, takes a very good camouflage that you won't be able to see them. At closer range, white, cinnamon, and pale buff flecking is visible on the upper parts of the adults. Their underparts are typically dark brown with whitish cinnamon bearing and a cinnamon bearing pattern. Their color provides excellent camouflage for rocky surfaces and also sometimes on bent ground. You won't be able to recognize the freckled nightjar. The next bird we are going to learn about is the black crag. We call it Napata in Shona. Usually 19 to 23 centimeters long, with a short tail and long toes. As its name implies, the adult is mainly black color with brown olive tone on the wings and underparts, which is rarely detectable in the field. This bird, their sexes, they're usually similar, but the male is slightly larger. Most males a bit larger, I think about 10% of the females. They have a hooked upper mandible. So you see this bird, you find it in areas which are marshy, where there is water bodies close by. That's where it gets most of its feed. The next bird we are going to learn about is the African Chicana, the Chicana. The Chicanas are conspicuous and unmistakable birds. They can measure 23 to 31 centimeters long as in other Chicanas. Females average larger than males. They have chestnut and upper parts. As you know, one other thing in birds, when you're identifying birds, the males are more beautiful than the females. The males are beautiful so that they'll be able to attract the females. So the Chicanas, and you'd find in many instances other birds, usually the males are bigger than the females, but it also depends on the species. So the Chicana, they have a chestnut and upper parts with black wingtips, rear neck and eye stripe, which are black. And then their underparts are also chestnut in the adults, and only in the juveniles they are white. And this bird, you always find it. It stays close to marshy areas and close to water bodies, because that's where most of their feed comes from. The next bird we are going to learn about again is the Marabou Stock. You know, when we were young, when the rains were about to come, you'd see some birds circling in the air, circling in the air, then you know that the rains have to come. And this is the bird, which is called the Abdim Stock or Shuramurove. And he used to sing this song, Shuramurove, tenderera, tenderera, tikupenyamo. So this is the bird, very prevalent in Zimbabwe. It's a black stock with grey legs, red knees, feet, grey bill, and white underparts. It has a red facial skin in front of the eye and blue skin near the bill. It is the smallest species of the storks at about 73 centimeters and a weight of just above 1 kg. That's the Abdim Stock or Shuramurove. The next bird we're going to learn about is the Marabou Stock. It's a one ugly bird. Usually it follows the vultures. It is a scavenger. This bird is not blessed on looks. The Marabou Stock is a massive bird, large specimen thought to reach a height of about 152 centimeters and a weight of 9 kgs. You know, this bird is known to have the largest wingspan, usually about 3.7 meters wingspan that it is said to reach. And when you look at it, this bird is unmistakable due to its size, head and neck, black head and white underparts. It has a huge bill and a pink color sac on its throat, which is like a pouch. And this bird, it's a scavenger. It is known to follow the vultures, and it has got a naked head and a long neck. These ones are adaptations for its livelihood. This large and powerful bird eats mainly carrion, scraps, dirt, but will opportunistically eat almost any animal matter that it can swallow, and it occasionally eats other birds. That's the Marabou Stock. The next bird we are going to learn about is the Kempteto egret. We call it Fudzamombe in Shona. The Kempteto egret is a white bird adorned with buff plums in the breeding season. It nests in colonies. When we say birds they nest in colonies, is that they don't go and build a nest by themselves, but a group of birds, they come into one area and then they build a nest around that area as a group. So the Kempteto egret is one of those birds that nest in colonies, and usually they nest near water bodies, often with other wading birds. The nest is a platform of sticks and trees, or trees or shrubs. Kempteto egrets exploit dry and open habitats more often than heron species. Their feeding habitats include seasonally inundated grasslands, pastures, farmlands, wetlands, and rice paddies. They often accompany cattle and other large animals, catching insect and small vertebrate prey disturbed by these animals. Some populations are migratory and others show post-breeding dispersal. So its name, Kempteto egret, comes from its ability to follow the cows. And the reason why they follow the cows is that when the cows are moving, they disturb insects. And when the insects move away, when the cows are moving, then they go and eat the insects that have been disturbed by the cattle. That's why it's called the Kempteto egret. The next bird we're going to learn about is the white stork. The white stork is a large bird in stork family. It is mainly white with black on the bird's wings. Adults have got red legs and long pointed red beaks that measure an average of about 100 to 115 centimeters from big tip to the end of the tail. This bird is a carnivore. It eats a wide range of animal prey, including insects, fish, amphibians, reptiles, small mammals, small birds. It takes most of its food from the ground among low vegetation. The next bird we are going to learn about after the stork is the hammercock. This bird has got a head, and the back of his head is like a hammer. In Shona we call it kondo. The hammercock is popular for its nest. You know, it makes a very huge nest made up of sticks, crop residue, shrubs, bushes. If you look at the size of the bed and the nest that it makes, I can be able to sit on this nest of a hammercock because it will be very, very, very big. So this species of a bird, the hammercock, is part of the Scopus family, usually called the Scopidae. The shape of the head, the shape of its head and a long bill and a crest on the back is reminiscent of a hammer, which has given the species its name after the Afrikaans word hammerhead. The hammercock takes a wide range of prey, mostly fish, amphibians, but shrimps, insects, rodents are taken too. Prey is usually hunted in shallow water, either by sight or touch, but the species is adaptable and will take any prey it can. So this is a quite adaptable prey, a quite adaptable species that you find also very close to near water bodies. And we've got the secretary bird. In Shona it's called water. Secretary bird, part of the Sagittarius family, the secretary bird. I love this bird because I don't like snakes. So this bird it hunts snakes. And the secretary bird is instantly recognizable as a very large bird with eagle-like body, crane-like legs that give birds a height as much as 1.3 centimeters. Both the females and the males, they're quite similar. It is a predator. The next bird we are going to learn about is the battle eagle. In Shona we call it chapungo. This is a very beautiful, colorful eagle. The battle eagle generally black in color with a chestnut color on the mantle as well as also on the rump and the tail. Adults have gray patches about the leading edges of the wings. Adults show white greater coverts constraining with black ramages in males, gray patches on the underwings, underwing primaries and black wing tips. The battle eagle is known as a fierce bird, a great hunter, very aggressive. And most people in our Shona culture, it's known that it's very difficult to pick the feather of a battle eagle. So someone who's stingy is known as a battle eagle. He doesn't drop his feather because it's very beautiful and its feathers are likable. The next bird we are going to learn about is the African fish eagle. This bird is known to be the Wungwe in Shona, the fish eagle. Like the name says, this bird survives on hunting fish and stays near water bodies where there's abundance of food in the water bodies. It is a white head, the beak is blackish at the tip, and it has got yellow feet, and then it's got a brown body. The next bird we're going to learn about is the hooded vulture. In Shona we call it Kora. This vulture, it is a scavenger. It has got a hooded, the name hooded comes from a small patchy down feathers that run from the back of its neck to the crown of his head, making it look like a hood. It is like a bit fluffy. So this is a scruffy looking bird, a small vulture with a dark brown color and a long thin bill, bare crown, face and foreneck, and a downy nape and high neck. Its face is usually light red color. It is typically scavenges on carcasses, wildlife, and domestic animals. The next bird we are going to learn about, this is one of my favorite birds. Growing up, we used to hear them early in the morning around 6 a.m. Far away, all you could hear was their sound, like doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo. This is the southern ground hornbill. In Shona, it's called dendera. The southern ground hornbill is part of the Bukovas family. And you know, this is the biggest of the ground hornbills. This one is a ground hornbill. So the southern ground hornbill is mainly found in southern Africa. And these animals, they are carnivorous and mostly hunt on the ground where they find majority of their food. Their food ranges from insects to small animals. Their nests are often found in high tree cavities and other shallow cavities, such as rock holes. This species, one interesting fact that I like about the southern ground hornbills, they are long-lived animals. They live for a long time compared to other birds. You would find that they can live, their lifespan can range from 50 to 60 years and up to 70 in captivity, which is very high in relation to other birds. And you'd find that the southern ground hornbills, they do not reach sexual maturity until they are 4 to 6 years old, and they begin breeding around 10 years old. Their sex can be identified by the color of their throats, where the males is pure red and the females is deep violet blue. Southern ground hornbills are a culturally pervasive and important species in southern Africa. And you know this bird is a bit elusive. You rarely find it. Only in special areas, that's where you find it. The next bird we're going to learn about, remember when we're about to reach our number for 30 birds that we can identify. The next bird is the little spotted woodpecker. In Shona we call it Hohodza. This bird looks for trees that are dry and that are rotting. And then within that tree, they start pecking the tree and then they bore a hole. When they bore a hole in there, then they start making their nest and then they breed in there. So that's where they get their name, Hohodza, coming from the pecking that they do when they are boring a hole into the tree, like go, 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 go. So in Shona we call it Kugogodza. So it's given its name Hohodza from Kugogodza. This is the little spotted woodpecker. It is part of the woodpecker family, and usually it's about 16 centimeters its length. The male is a scarlet crown flecked with black and a bright red nape. The female is a blackish crown spotted with white and red nape. Both sexes have green upper parts. The tail is green with individual feathers having brown shafts. The juvenile is similar to the female in appearance, although the nape may have a little red on it. The next bird we are going to learn about after the woodpecker is going to be the hornbill. Have you ever heard about people who are called spineless, who just follow the wind wherever they go? They're likened to this bird. It's called the yellow-billed hornbill. The southern yellow-billed hornbill. The yellow-billed hornbills, in Shona they're called Hohoto. These are the birds when the wind is going south, they change direction, they follow south. When the wind changes direction to go west, they change direction, they follow the wind. When the wind decides to go north, they change direction, they just follow the wind. They will not do what they want, but they just follow what is happening. So the yellow-billed hornbills, they feed mainly on the ground, where they forage for seeds, small insects, spiders, and scorpions. This hornbill species is common and widespread resident of many Beaut and broad-leaved woodlands. They can often be seen along roads and watercourses. The bird is characterized by a long, yellow and down-curved beak. The beak is huge in comparison to its body and can account for 1/6 of the entire body length. Males' beaks are on average 90 millimeters long, while female beaks are average 24 millimeters long. Males are generally bigger than the females, but there is an overlap between the species. This is the water bird, the southern yellow-billed hornbill. The next bird we are going to learn about is the ostrich. In Shona we call it Mo or Mwani. Ostriches are found in Zimbabwe. We find ostriches in Zimbabwe. They weigh from 63 to 145 kgs. That's a huge bird, which is almost like 2 adult human beings. Their lifespan is typically 40 to 45 years. They live for quite a long time, and their skin varies in color depending on the subspecies. Some having light or dark gray skin, and others having pinkish or even reddish skin. Their strong legs, common for ostrich, and feathers. And ostriches, they are known for speed. They use those strong legs for running. And you'd find the males usually they're black in color and they've got white color on the tips of the wings. The females, they are dull grayish color. Ostriches can speed up to a speed of 70 kilometers an hour. They can run up to such a speed. The next birds we are going to have is the red-billed oxpecker. The oxpecker, it's known to nest in holes, in tree holes, and the holes will be lined with the hair plucked from the livestock, just because it stays mainly with the livestock. So it takes the feathers from the livestock, so it puts in those fur to make it a smooth nest for its young ones. The preferred habitat is open country, and the red-billed oxpecker eats insects Both it eats insects and other small little animals. The oxpecker, it stays with domesticated mammals such as cattle, and it eats pigs. It eats ticks. Sorry. One of the unusual aspects in this bird, it can peck on the udders of the impalas or the oxen. The reason being, it loves blood so much. Just because it is an oxpecker, it lives mainly on the ticks that it finds on the animals. So if it doesn't find those ticks, it enjoys to eat blood. So it may peck the udders of the impalas or the animals such that blood can come out and then it can drink that blood. So that's the one disadvantage of the oxpecker, but it's a good bird. Usually it has got a red color and then the yellow eyes with like a red spot at the center, and then the back is brownish gray, and then the front is yellowish orange. That's the oxpecker. And then the next bird we are going to learn about is called the red-winged starling. It's called Micho. This bird is black in color with a red patch on the end of its feathers. It's an omnivore. Usually it stays in the mountain areas for nesting and has moved into cities in towns because of the human settlement. When in the human settlement areas, this bird would love to nest under the eaves of the roof behind the asbestos or the roof tiling or whatever finish that is there. It loves to nest in the eaves of the roof. It is mainly in decent black color with chestnut flight feathers, which are particularly noticeable in flight. The next bird, we're now left with just two birds. So the second from last in terms of the birds that we're going to learn about today, we've got the village weaver. They call it Majesa, in Shona Jesa. It is yellow color with some black lines. It has got these birds, they nest in colonies, as in they nest as a group. They often abundant species occurs in a wide range of open or semi-open habitats, including woodlands and human habitation, and frequently form noisy colonies in towns, villages, and hotel grounds. This weaver builds a large, costly woven nest made up of grass leaf strips with a downward-facing entrance, which is suspended from the tree branch. 2 or 3 eggs are laid. Village weavers are colonial breeders. So many nests may hang from the tree. Village weavers feed principally on seeds, grain, and can be a crop pest, but it will readily take insects. You know, one interesting fact about the village weaver, when they are about to nest, these are monogamous breeders. You know, birds, there are some which are monogamous and some which are group breeders. This one is a monogamous breeder. A monogamous breeder is one which chooses a male to breed with. So when the village weaver wants to breed, it courts a male. A male will court a female that they want to breed. So when the male is courting a female, the male will go and try to build a nest. When it builds a nest, the female will come and inspect. If the female is not happy about the nest that has been built, the female will take down the nest and the male has to try again. Until the female is satisfied, there's no breeding that will happen. That's the village weaver. The last bird that we're going to learn about today is the blue waxbill. Usually it's called GDD or CC. It goes like CC. This is like a blue chested bird with a gray at the back. One of the waxbills by their nature, you know, they eat insects with their sharp bills. The blue waxbill is powder like blue face, breast and rump, and flanks with pale brown upper parts. The female is paler than the male, and the blue is confined to the rump and the tail and the upper breast. So this is the blue waxbill. So, boys and girls, you need to identify 30 birds by just watching them. And after identifying 30 birds, you also need to know bird sounds, birds by their sounds, to tell what bird is that by their sound. This is the work that you're supposed to do at home. And after that, you also need to do a bird feeding program where you set up a place where you throw some food and birds come to eat. And you know, birds, they're very intelligent animals. If you throw your food at a specific time, you'd find the birds mingling at that place waiting for you to throw the food, because they are intelligent. They are intelligent animals. So we thank God for creating birds, and we thank God for the interaction and the beautiful music that comes from the birds. That's the end of our lesson about birds today. May God bless you.